I'm joined here today by a very lovely man called Manny. Hello, Manny.
Hello. Hello, Andy.
So you are. Let's just give a few basic details. You're Manny. You're from the US. Clearly, you don't live in the US. You are involved with Pace in Scandinavia. So just tell us a little bit about what you are doing. Like, who are you today? What are you doing?
Yeah, originally from Southern California, born and raised in Orange County, California. And I've been doing missions work in Scandinavia, Denmark / Faroe Islands since 2005. So, yeah, been married for 14 years. We have 4 kids, and we currently live here on the Faroe Islands, which is some islands in the North Atlantic in between Iceland, Norway, and north of the UK islands. You can say, hopefully I didn't say that wrong about you guys. Is it the British Isles? Or
British Isles, UK. I mean, anything works really. It's fine.
Yeah. And yeah, my wife and I have been leading Pace Scandinavia since 2020. Yeah, so that's a little short description about where we're from and what we're doing.
I've got you here to talk about the new Pace radio show. We'll come on to that in a little bit. But before we get on to that, which has got an awesome name, which we'll talk about in a minute, what was your involvement? How did you get involved with Pace? I mean, okay, so you're director of Pace in a nation where you're not from. So what was your journey into Pace, and how did you end up moving quite far away to a very different country?
Yeah. Well, I struggled with addiction, drug addiction for many years of my life, from 16 to 26. And towards the end of that time, I realized I have always believed in God. But I wasn't, I didn't have a personal relationship with him. I realized I needed that towards this end when I was just tired of the lifestyle. So I surrendered my life to God and got the help through my family. And they introduced me to this program called Teen Challenge. While I was in there, I got a heart for missions. And it just so happened that there was a Danish family coming to study the success rate and why it was so successful. Teen Challenge's success rates, and they needed a student to follow around to see what the journey was like. We hit it off really well, and he invited me for a short-term mission trip to the country of Denmark. It was only supposed to be a 3-month journey. And well, yeah, it turned into a lot longer. When I got there, I felt the call of God to stay and just to submerge myself into the culture. So, and I have always had a passion for youth work. I thought I would jump into, helping people with addictions, which I do, but I actually spend more time bringing awareness and prevention so they don't have to make the same mistakes as a lot of us have. So just about helping young people find their identity in Christ, having better values, and using their talents for something more than themselves. So that's been, my ministry journey. And my wife, when meeting her, she has the same passion for youth work. So we've always been involved with youth work. I was a youth pastor. She was a children's pastor. Doing different stuff. She's helped with children's albums. She's a worship leader. So we've always been deeply involved in the local church and with a focus on the younger generation. So a mutual friend of ours from Wales was visiting us, and we were doing like this weekend conference. And he is like, hey, I used to do a lot of work with this ministry called Pace. And they do a lot of youth work. They go into the schools. Maybe you can connect with them and just see if it makes sense to partner with them and use the resources that they have. So we said, yeah, we'll give it a try. So we contacted some of the leaders. One time we met with Paul and Lynn, and just, like over a Zoom meeting like this. And we instantly just felt the heart, you just align. Like, we didn't have to talk about deep theology or anything like that. We just felt like we were on the same page. So we talked about it, prayed about it, and decided, okay, we want to learn more about Pace and see if this is something that we can implement in Scandinavia. And this was just before COVID. So we planned as a family. I took a leave from work, and she took a leave from school. She was studying to be a teacher at that time. And we were going to go to the States for 90 days. and just get hands-on training from the global office in Texas. And we had it all planned out, tickets bought, everything. And then COVID came and everything just got shut down. We were just like, okay, God, is this really from you? Did we make a mistake? What's going on here? But we felt like there was longevity in this. We felt like this was it, and to not waver. So usually, like some of the core behind Pais is that, Jesus, he took his disciples on a journey and taught them on the way. So we learned about Pais the other way around. We did all of the teaching online with no experience, but we just knew it was right. But we were very active already in youth work, so we were actually able to implement all the resources and teaching into what we were doing. And then everything opened up, and we started a couple of teams in Denmark. We're on our second team here on the Faroe Islands, just reaching into the schools with heavenly values. Sometimes we're able to be blunt about our faith. Other times we just talk about the value system and help them adapt it. We work in local churches, and we do a lot of events with the you guys call it the council, I guess. It's the commune out here, so the city, the local city. So yeah, we're quite active with Pais and building it, pioneering it here in Scandinavia.
Well, there's a fascinating story if ever there was one. So many people you speak to. So we had this amazing idea. It was all set, and then COVID happened, and it didn't. So it's really encouraging when I see someone who uses COVID in a good way. So a friend of ours had this business. I'm going to do a business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then COVID made her think, I can't do any of those things. So it kind of forced her to focus in a different way, which was much better. And it sounds like in some ways God has... I love God breaking the rules. I remember hearing a guy from the States one time talking about the Holy Spirit being the rule breaker. He just loves to work around and kind of navigate around to accomplish God's plans in ways that we think, oh, it shouldn't work that way. We should do it this way. But God's way is better. And that's what it sounds like happened to you for you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
100%.
So you've got Pais teams in Denmark, in Scandinavia. I'm going to have to go off and Google where the Faroe Islands is, because in my head I can't quite picture it. I'll Google that later. So you're there.
You really got to zoom in, with your fingers if you're on your phone.
Okay. It's not huge.
It's not, but it's very beautiful here.
Cool. So I'll check out that later. So that's setting us something of you and your journey in faith and your journey towards Pais as well. I go back with Paul Gibbs to 1995, or 94 technically. I actually met him in 94. Wow. And I was one of the first teams, I think was it year 4 or something, 95 to 96. And it's been encouraging to see how Paul's attitude to life, you can see other people who've heard of Pais, and there's this little spark of joy. There's this little spark of knowledge of, yeah, that's good. And that's really encouraging. So I can see that in you as well.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the radio show, which is what we're really here to talk about. So do you want to give us the title of this show, which I love the title that Paul came up with. Everybody I say this to goes, ooh, I like that. It's really funny. It's a very similar response. So give us a title and just give us an overview. What is this show all about?
Yeah, so the title of the show is Life on Mission, powered by Pais. And it just speaks for itself, because a lot of times we think we need to go somewhere to be on missions, but our life is a mission. I like when he gives out the Great Commission, Jesus, he says, go and make disciples. And a lot of times we take that go as, a destination. But if you look at the grammar behind it, it's as you go. As you go in life, you're making disciples. So it's wherever you're at in life, in the season that you're in. So basically that's what we want to do. And this is also a spawn off of COVID and the different direction we did with, implementing our resources and how we partner with churches, physically, but also online. I've been doing radio for a number of years. When I first moved to the Faroe Islands, they asked if I wanted to have a Christian radio show in English for all the internationals here and abroad. So I've been doing that, and God has ways of connecting things, right? So I'm like, okay, every season, should I stop with the radio show? Is it still interesting to listen to, what kind of content I put out there. And every year the radio stations are like, no, we love what you're doing. Keep on. I just thought there was more to it. So I introduced, hey, Paul, I do a radio show. And since I've had the Pais team, I've had them on my radio show and we talk about all things Pais. Would that be interesting to do something on a global level with this? And he just thought it was a brilliant idea because then it helps get a lot of our resources out in a whole different way on a different platform. Because, we have a lot of video content. We have a lot of readable resources for people to tap into and whatnot, and hands-on training. But what radio does, in my opinion, is that it can take that same material, that same resource, and we can turn it into a dialogue form. So we can talk about a subject that we normally teach or implement in some sort of event, and we get to have a dialogue, a discussion about it, and see what the resource is about, but also talk about what it means to us and how people can adapt it into their everyday life on a platform like this. So that's what we're going to be doing with this new opportunity, this new ministry door podcast / radio show. We're going to use this next year. I would say we're going to try it out and have a show go out every week with all things Pais. For example, I'll be interviewing Paul Gibbs, the founder of Pais Movement. He just wrote this book that's going to come out soon, and it's a series, called The Kingdom Centric. And so we're going to be talking about how to be kingdom centric in all these different areas of life. Sharing the gospel, prayer, Bible study, church, leadership, all these different areas that you say, oh yeah, we're a leader in our local church, but are you a kingdom centric leader in your local church, or are you a Christian centric leader? And so we're just going to have that type of dialogue where he brings out the meat of what it is, but then also what does it mean personally for us, and how has his journey been with realizing what it means to be kingdom centric in this area, my journey and whatnot. Then the other times I'll be interviewing different national leaders. Like my wife and I are national leaders for Pais Faroe Islands / Denmark. So for example, I'll call the national leaders in Australia and say, okay, what's going on in your country? I'll have a set of questions that I go through with them, and we'll see where those questions lead our dialogue. So that's basically what we're going to be doing this next year. And I think it's going to be quite interesting because, yes, it will bring nice advertisement and excitement to, oh, there's a Pais in Australia. Oh, I want to sign up. But it's more about, okay, wow, the kingdom of God is that big and has that much of a synergy that what we're doing in Scandinavia, it might look a little bit different, but the template, the foundation that we're using can be used anywhere. And this is the fruit that is coming from it in the season that Australia is in, or the season that America is in, and so on.
Which is really exciting. And what was also exciting is, as you were going to Paul Gibbs, I was also going to him saying, hey, Paul, we've started a radio station. Can we support you and work in some way together? What can we do for the kingdom? So I love how God, he doesn't work one person at a time, one strand at a time. When you look at what God does and you can look back, hindsight's great, but it's also a good thing to look back and think, that's what God was doing. And look how he brought all this together, which is really exciting. So that's the show that's coming up, which is really exciting because we're a global station, you're a global ministry that we can put out globally where you are globally, which is really exciting for us as well. And nice. I love where this might be going. I know we're going to have other material from Pais as well. So we do a show on a Sunday. We're going to have some other video teachings, which we're going to make into audio to go out on a Sunday. So there's other material on top of the new show, which is starting on Tuesday, the 6th of February at 8:00.
Oh, no stress.
no stress. That's the week after next, by the way. So that's starting up. But what's exciting is we've just started repeating shows. So if you're listening to this right now, it's going to go out UK time, 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. We're also going to repeat it at midnight UK time, which is about 6 o'clock Montana, for example. That's 6 p.m. So you get 2 goes at hearing this on the same day, kind of. And then on a Sunday at 12 o'clock, we have 4 hours of worship in the morning, nothing but worship, no adverts, no jingles. So you'll be completely ready at 12 o'clock to hear the show again So you get 3 goes at hearing this, which I think is fantastic. I'm really excited about how that wasn't even necessarily intentional. It's just come about and we thought, this is good. This works.
Yeah. So thankful for this.
No, it's great.
So,
are you ready for this first one? Is it? I mean, are people listening thinking, is it good to go? Can you share something of the first one with us?
Yeah. Well, so I interviewed. It was more like I would call it the Paul show. I had 2 people that I interviewed, both named Paul, and yes, Paul Gibbs is from Manchester, but he lives in Texas.
Yeah.
So we had somebody on the North America platform. Then you had me right in the middle, an island in the North Atlantic, and then somebody from down under in Australia. So he was, I think it was 8:00 in the morning for him, 9:00 at night for me, and 3:00 in the day for Paul. It was quite interesting. And both of them have like loads of experience in building churches and ministries and figuring out what God's mission for their lives is all about. Just tons of wisdom. And I just had the blessing of, shooting out some questions and then letting them just pour out their wisdom and life experience into it. So it was really good. I really thought I went overtime too, because it's an hour show. And I'm going to cut some stuff, but it was almost perfectly under an hour. It was genius. But we're going to be talking about, we talked about the radio show. We talked about what it means to be kingdom-centric in their personal lives, just as an overview of what's to come. And then about an upcoming conference that they're going to be having in Texas together. So, yeah, it was a lot of good meat there, golden nuggets to take back with you and just pray about and try.
Oh, I like that. That's the place to finish. Yeah, it's not just stuff to listen to. It's not just to entertain you. It's not just to fill an hour of your time. Actually, this is meaningful stuff that you can put into action in your own life and try for yourself. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Manny, so much. If people want to know more about the Pais Movement, do you know what the website is for that? I think there's a new one now, isn't there?
Yes, Pais.life. So that's Pais, Pais.life, Life. That's it, Pais.life.
Doesn't get any simpler. Pais.life for more. Thank you, Manny. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And we will be speaking very, very soon again. Absolutely. Thank you kindly.
Bye-bye.
Pure 24/7 radio is listener supported, which means we are free, online and always pure because of the generous support of our listeners. If you would like to contribute financially, please visit pure247radio.org. If you'd like to find out how we use your money, please visit the Our Cost section. Any donation of any size will help keep us on air and broadcasting for free. Thank you.